Thank you very much for having me today. My name is Leticia Clough. I am a director, sales communication consultant for Fidelity Investments. I live in central New Jersey, and when they invited me to be part of this, I have to be honest with you. It took me a lot of thinking. What value can I possibly bring to you? What could I have to give you? What advice, or who am I to kind of give you any advice? It was very humbling to think about what advice I could possibly bring to a large population around the globe. So, needless to say, I'm super honored to be here. But what advice can I give you? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that if there is value to you. But I do have a story, and I'll share that with you. I grew up in Brazil, not poor, but definitely with a lot of financial struggles. A lot. I was raised by a single mom, and I really wanted independence. So at the age of 17, I moved to the United States. You name it, I've done it. I've waitressed, I've cleaned gas station bathrooms, I've worked the night shift. There was always, though, always something in me, this ambition that I wanted to be the best I could possibly be. And the bathrooms I cleaned at that gas station were spotless. And I was the best waitress I could possibly be. It reminded me of a movie my previous boss said he watched. It was an old war movie that it said something like, always find love in what you do. It's not just work. Always be proud of your work. And that I've always had in me, this pride of being the best I can possibly be. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about change. Do I need to change or do I need to improve? There's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, where he says that a true change is a change in identity. And it's very difficult to change who you already are. An example is if you're trying to quit smoking. If someone offers you a vape or a cigarette, do you say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit? Or do you say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker? Now, I'll be very honest with you. I quit vaping in January of 2023. We are now in July. And if you ask me, hey, do you vape? I will say, I'm trying to quit. I still have my lozenges and my nicotine patch. I haven't made that change to my identity yet. Change is hard, very hard. What isn't as hard is improvement to something you are already good at. And that's my advice to you today. When trying to decide what to talk about, I asked my 10-year-old niece, what do you think I should talk about? And she said, well, what are you good at? And I wrote down 3 things I'm really good at. I'm good at presenting. I'm good at making connections with people. And I'm a pretty good teacher. I've always been good at those things. But how could I become better at those things? How could I become a better teacher, a better presenter, and even better at making connections with people? So it wasn't about changing my identity, as James Clear suggested. It's not that big of a change. It's an improvement. How can I be better at something I'm already good at? In this new world of AI, the differentiator is going to be you, your personality, your reputation, your brand, your expertise. So find something that you are good at and become better at it. Now, going back to my story, came to the US at the age of 17, waitressed, and in my 20s, I got a job in a call center at Fidelity Investments. I was making $14 an hour back in 2006. And back then, I was pretty happy about that. I had a 2-year-old son back then. And I believe we also have a picture of him. Let me share that with you. There he is. He's 19 now, and I'm no longer making $14 an hour. Neither is he, actually. It got me thinking of how many jobs did I have that networking played a big role. When I first got this job at Fidelity in the call center, I got it by myself. I put my resume on Monster or Indeed. Those sites are still around. And I thought I was going to be an interpreter for a president of a country that needed a Portuguese English translator. Instead, no president called me, no embassy called me. This guy called me and would not identify his company. He would not say Fidelity. He said, it's a job for a call center. And I said, well, is it sales? I was afraid of sales. Funny, now I work in sales and I love it. Nope, it's not sales. It's a call center. I cannot tell you the name of the company. But if you're interested, it pays $14 an hour and it starts on Monday. I also had another job offering for a health insurance company that paid $12 an hour, but it was closer to home. But it started a week later. So I thought strategically, well, I'll start on this mystery company for a week during orientation. If I don't like it, I'll go to the insurance company. 17 years later, I'm still with this company. So the first call center job, I got it just by applying, posting my resume online. But ever since I got it inside of Fidelity, all the other jobs were due to networking. Networking that came very naturally, that was very organic and not at all mechanic or strategic on purpose. It was just through meeting people and being who you are and being vulnerable. That's a pretty good advice. Be vulnerable. Make networking opportunities that are natural, that are not on purpose. There was a job at Fidelity, an opening, that someone told me, you would be really good at that. And I said, that's pretty cool. Let me apply. And I got the job. It caused me to move from New Hampshire to New Jersey. 7 years later, I called a friend of mine and said, hey, I would like to try this other job. All right, I think you'll be good at that too. Let me go ahead and talk to the manager, the hiring manager. I applied and I got the job. Keep in mind though, for the yes that I got, I had about 10 no's. No, thank you. We don't think you're a good fit. Not now. We had someone that's better than you. There were actually plenty of rejections. There is an interesting story about rejection. After 7 more years doing this other job, I was ready for something new. I was ready for something different. So I applied for a job, and the manager got back to me and said, Leticia, not you. Not now, not this time. I have someone else that is a better fit. However, I was in Boston the other day and met someone that mentioned they needed someone to travel, to promote Fidelity, and I immediately thought of you and how good of a fit you would be. Well, that's the job I have now. It is through networking, but I've never purposely networked. I've never said, hey, can I make some time on your calendar for us to chat? No, I've never done that. That has been done to me. And honestly, it did not feel natural and I didn't like it. You will likely take courses and read books about networking on how they teach you to do that. They teach you to reach out to someone, send a handwritten note, send a calendar, a Zoom invite to talk to someone. And they've done this to me and it never felt natural. I've done this to other people. It never really felt natural. It never had a big impact either. The most impactful networking I've done or have seen, have witnessed, were when you showed vulnerability at moments that were unexpected. So I have a quick one to share with you. I was at a sales final recently, and the person that went with me was a female with very short hair. Her picture on the slide had long hair like mine, but in real life, she had very short hair. The client we were presenting to at the end of the presentation said, oh, when did you cut your hair? And she said, well, it wasn't by choice. I'm done with my cancer treatment. How vulnerable is that for you to tell in front of a client what you just went through? And this client said, thank you for sharing. My sister's going through it now. That's a bond. It's a very strong bond. If you open up, if you share parts of you unexpectedly, still, of course, in a professional way, you create the strongest possible connection. Remember, in the 60s, they used to say, leave your feelings at home. When you come to work, don't cry here, leave it behind. This is a workplace. And we know that there is no work Leticia or home Leticia. It's all Leticia. It's all you. So my advice to you is to be vulnerable. Create opportunities that are natural for networking. Don't necessarily look to change who you are. Improve what you're good at. Be you. Thanks for listening.